Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for our live reaction and player ratings live stream following Brighton and Hove Albion 3, Chelsea 0. We managed to get embarrassed twice by the same team at the same stadium in the space of 1 week. Thankfully, I am not having to talk through this by myself today, so I've brought the negative duo on board. But, so maybe I'll be the positive spark today, but probably not. I think we're just going to talk ourselves into depression, quite frankly. But honestly, last week I was angry. I don't really know why. I'm not really angry. That's the typical saying, oh, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed. I'm not even disappointed, really, because I didn't think we'd lose 3-0, but I didn't think we'd win. But I'm just really sad. I just said this to Ollie before we went live. I'm like, what does this mean, man? Like, now Maresca's injured, Gusto's injured. Without Jackson, we are absolutely screwed. Like, when are we going to win a game again? I don't know. Next season at the Club World Cup, probably going to lose to all these teams as well. Our club has been absolutely ruined. And it's only been, 70-odd days since Chelsea was singing "We've Got Our Chelsea Back" at Southampton. And now here we are. Champions League looking almost impossible. Maybe that's too extreme, but it feels like that right now. God knows where we'll be at the end of this weekend. Might be 7th. Can't wait for that. My God, I am very, very sad. Ollie, you said you have almost a rant ready. So first of all, thank you for being back on. I appreciate you not letting me do this by myself tonight. I mean, please say your piece if you need to, but thank you for coming back on. And what can you even say? Like, do you feel anger, or is it more sadness, or is it just the stereotypical disappointment?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me back on, Loz. Hi, chat. Hi, Dimmy. Hope you're all good. Man, that was really something, wasn't it? I mean, probably biggest Valentine's Day massacre since Al Capone was alive. These players, if you're asking me, they're down tools. If you're asking me, the dressing room was probably lost weeks ago. We looked lethargic, out of ideas. One shot on target in over 180 minutes of football against this lot, and they lost 7-0 a couple weeks ago. No shot on target tonight is just totally embarrassing. I'm ambivalent to Maresca, the manager. They can sack him if they want, but they're just going to go even younger, even less experienced. So what's the point? Nothing changes if nothing changes. And with this ownership in charge, nothing changes, even if you get rid of the guys in the dugout at the moment. We were told last year that a year on, these players would have more cohesion. They'd understand each other more. They'd gel together. But at this point of the season, we actually look worse than we did last season for large parts of it. Spineless, gutless, heartless, toothless, lazy, dull football with no desire, no leadership, just a bunch of individuals, not teammates, who have, they've had the joy and their individuality coached out of them and their belief squashed. They've stopped running for the manager, and he's doing a terrible job at the moment. He can't get a response out of them, but it was the same with Potter. It was the same at times under Pochettino, and it's the same now. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, and that's what Clear Lake are doing at the moment. Something has to change with the way that we're running things from boardroom to bathroom. If we don't sack the sporting directors, we're completely finished as a big club. And we're going absolutely nowhere with these guys at the helm. It's going to be a long rest of the season, I think, but it's going to be a longer 7 years until they can sell us. Up the Chelsea, fuck the board. That's pretty much it.
The board, yeah, very well put. I mean, like you said, this genuinely might be the worst Chelsea game I've ever seen. Like, we've lost higher than this. We lost 5-0 to Arsenal last season. We've lost 4-0 to Bournemouth under Sarri. Like, these games sometimes happen, but genuinely, like, this was kind of, remember that game against Man City under Conte when we lost only 1-0, but it was like that game where we didn't even try to do anything. Like, we tried to get a 0-0, and after we couldn't get that, we just gave up. And today was kind of like that, except that it was that we lost 3-0, and it could have been 4. And it's, you know how Ollie says that we're genuinely doomed if we don't get rid of the sporting directors. I'm so far in my depression right now that I'm like, yeah, but even if you change them, we've spent so much money that the new sporting directors, unless they have a very similar idea, which then is a problem in and of itself, but unless they have a very similar idea, need to spend so much money to shift the club into their idea that we can't even really do that because who are we going to sell to make that happen? Do you know what I mean? So, like, is there any saving us at the moment? We might as well just shut up shop. Just go home. Just go home, stay at home. Just leave it. Do you know what I mean? Dimitar, I'll come to you. Thank you for being back on. I appreciate it very much. I mean, Ollie had almost like his instant reaction round ready. I expect you probably don't, but where are your thoughts, bro? Because, oh man, like, yeah, sometimes we're negative, sometimes I'm a bit more negative, sometimes a bit less negative. But right now, I'm almost lost for words. I'm genuinely almost lost for words, and I'm not sure what do we do now, man? Like, I'm scared we're gonna lose every game this season.
I mean, yeah, first of all, I'm glad to be back. I hoped under better circumstances, but hey, that's not up to us. On terms of what should we do, I honestly don't know. I think that the general direction in which the team has been led is very, very bad. It's just not the way you build a winning squad. It's just not the way you build a winning team. It's just not the way you run a club in order to have a winning mentality, in order to just do anything of purpose. Because after all, we're a Chelsea Football Club, and people may say, yeah, Chelsea only got used to winning under Abramovich, but if people actually open Google and see, Chelsea won 5 or 6 trophies even before Abramovich came in the 6-7 years before that. So this club is used to winning trophies for about 30 years now. And these people came in, they had a vision. We all know now that vision was just not good enough. But now the question is, how should they rectify it? You guys said sack the sporting director, sack the manager. I honestly don't know what should happen, but what they should aim to do is find someone with experience in football. Because at the end of the day, I think that what we have seen the most is that these people just don't have experience running football clubs.
No.
Yep.
We may say they also don't have an experience running a successful business, because on the business side, for me, we're also failing, having to sell hotels to ourselves, being unable to get a front of shirt sponsor for a second season in a row. So generally, they should get someone with any kind of specialty, any kind of skills, just to come in and do something right. Because I don't think we've done anything right. Yeah, we have not done anything right, and that's the problem. It's not one thing, in my opinion. It's just everything.
You know how you said second season in a row without a front of shirt sponsor? That's the thing. Like, we think of last season as not having one. That's how ridiculous it is. Like, we made our own sponsor up last year. We couldn't even make our own sponsor up in the second season. Like, you know what I mean? The first time, at least we made our own one up rather than running around, naked all season. But no, this achieve that. And now we're hearing the manager, oh, no. The owners, they never said that we expect Champions League this season. But why would we wait for the front of shirt sponsor then? Because isn't that the whole reason, that because we don't want to get absolutely screwed over by getting a low offer sponsorship deal? Isn't that the whole reason for the whole thing? It's honestly baffling. It's honestly baffling. By the way, welcome everybody in the chat. I'm sorry if I haven't read your message or highlighted your message. Get involved, of course. The more interesting of a thing you say, the more likely we are to react to it. It's, oh my God. Like I say, I'm genuinely so lost for words. I mean, you look at the squad, and you look at the reporting in the summer. You look at even what a lot of us said in the summer. We have such a big squad and it's going to be issues again. And, competition only works sometimes. And now we sit here, we barely have a squad left. we barely have a squad left. We don't have any wingers. We don't have any striker. Gusto is injured with Reece James. You can't ever, predict for him to be there. So we don't have a right back either. We only have one left back. We have Chalobah looking like an absolute clown again, that worked out brilliantly, recalling him, hasn't it? I mean, last week I said, at least if you're playing right centre back, you look a bit better. Well, he didn't. So that's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, oh my God. But it's of course it's our luck that Mitoma scores potentially goal of the season. It probably won't, but up there, because that touch is just, I've not seen a Chelsea player have a touch like that. Honestly, other than Eden Hazard, probably no one other than Zola has ever had a touch like that. That's ridiculous. Like, that's a 70-yard pass and it just takes it down like that. It's mental. Jorgensen should shave it, by the way. What is this? Like, why do all our goalkeepers have to be terrible? Absolutely pissing me off. But then, and I just quickly want to touch on this, boys, because we are going to be talking about so many negative things. We're probably going to not want to come back to this point. Chelsea equalized. or kind of. It was kind of unclear to me whether the referee blew his whistle before the ball went in, which is
He
kind of
did,
weird.
yeah, he did.
He only headed it from 2 yards out. So how on earth did he manage to blow the whistle beforehand? If that's not corruption, I don't know what is. Because why would you whistle it before? Makes no sense.
He blew the whistle the second he saw Enzo had his two hands on the back of the defender. So basically, like when the ball was flying, he blew the whistle, which was still the wrong decision because you should wait a second. I mean, it's in the small penalty box, so anything can happen. So he should have waited. That was we got scammed for sure.
He should have waited. And now, have you seen these kind of things given as fouls and ruled out? Absolutely. The problem is we just had one of the most iconic Merseyside derbies in history the other day, with literally the Everton goal in the 98th minute. You know, the Everton player shoving Konate way harder than Enzo Fernandez did here.
Oh, yeah.
And it's perfectly fine, but this goal is ruled out. The frustrating thing is just the lack of consistency. Now, am I going to sit here and say, unlucky, you know, we should have won because we equalized? No, of course not. But of course, the game probably goes differently. Am I saying we're going to win? Probably not. But at least we don't lose 3-0. Might be 3-1, but at least not 3-0. And then basically on the other end, they score with one of the most freakish, unlucky goals, honestly, you'll ever see. I mean, they crossed the ball.
Was it freakish, though? I think it was more bad defending than freakish.
I mean, sure, it's also bad defending. It's not like I'm not going to disagree with that, Oli. But for me, Welbeck was offside. And the way I understand the rules, if you're offside and therefore making a defender make an action, even if the attacker never attempted to play the ball, purely by being in an offside position, forcing a reaction, that should have been ruled out in my opinion. But anyways, you know,
I think it's because Colwill touched the ball.
But
I think that one was because Colwill touched the ball. He made like a deliberate play of the ball.
No, exactly. But he made that play of the ball because the player was behind him. So if that player behind him isn't there, although supposedly Sky have said that he was onside, but of course they never showed a replay, so you know they can say whatever they want. But yeah, and then Colwill rebounds it or slides it into Jurgensen. It bounces back out. Sancho is too slow to react to it. And yeah, of course, the ball falls to them. It's 2-0. And from that onwards, whether it ended up being 3-0 or whether it ended up being 4-0 or remained at 2-0, didn't really matter. Fact of the matter is, it was 2-0, and you could see there was nothing happening. Like, you could see the manager wasn't going to do anything. The players weren't going to do anything. There was no one going to be stepping up to anything here. That was it. That was it. And that's the embarrassing thing. You both spoke about it earlier. We had 0 shots on target today. We had, in 2 games against Brighton, 180 minutes plus stoppage time over in the space of a week. We had 1 shot on target. 1. And I mean, if Cole Palmer can't hit the target anymore, we had 2 chances early in the game, right? Those 2 Palmer shots. Palmer from last season, Palmer of earlier this season scores that. But right now, just nothing wants to work. And it's just because, you know, I've seen Joel a couple of times basically say we shouldn't be angry at the owners, which is a little bit silly because I'm like, okay, they spent money to save us only to ruin us again after. So I would deem that more torture, not saving us. But
do you know what that's like? That's like a surgeon like saving you from having a heart attack just to tie you up in his basement and torture you for like months on end. That's what it feels like.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, it's a mess, man. It's a mess. I've got the full-time thing on there, right? I don't know why they've put Paul Rees-James on there. I'm not sure what he had much to do with this. But I quickly want to just open the lineup that we turn up with today. Of course, supposedly, Philip Jurgensen is now a first-choice goalkeeper. As soon as you become a first-choice goalkeeper, you are absolutely shit. So that happened. Rees-James supposedly never injured, but misses last week, misses 3 days of training, and doesn't start the game. So we're just permanently being lied to. So that's really fun. So yeah, Gusto in the team, Chalobah back in the team. And then we did change things up a little bit. You'd not think so from looking at the pure 11, but we kind of switched to not playing a striker and kind of just played a front 2.5 of Palmer and Nkunku and weirdly Enzo Fernandez, which is kind of odd. But the bad thing is, and I want to zoom in on it a little bit, this bench. I said it earlier. We went from supposedly having way too big of a squad, way too many players, 70 players on the books, and 15 goalkeepers, like the media reported, to having an 18-year-old, a free agent from Fulham, a player who's never played in Europe before, an injury-ridden Rees-James, a player who's played 18 senior games in his life, the worst player that's ever played for Chelsea Football Club, Sancho, and Tyreek George. What is this bench? I feel... oh, my God. Ollie, please. What do you like? The lineup, okay. I'm not even going to have a go at the manager because what else am I expecting? Like, okay, Sancho instead of one of the wingers. Not going to make a difference, is it? Like, the lineup isn't the issue that we're debating here. It's more like, how on earth has the squad gone this bad from where we were in August?
I don't even know, to be honest with you. Maybe it's a mix of injuries for sure. I think we're missing players like Fofana, Lavia, Reece James for large parts of the season, Badiashile. I know people might laugh at that, but I think a lot of people would like to at least have seen him at times over Chalobah this season. Now Gusto might be injured for a while. Jackson's injured for a while. Madueke is probably injured for a while. A lot of hamstring injuries this season, a lot of muscular injuries. I don't know. Maybe it was a good thing we had a big squad, but clearly it hasn't helped us very much. I don't really know where I sit anymore on this sort of idea of like having the level of sharpness versus fitness. Like if you don't play as much, you're not as sharp, but you're also not quite as fit. And I don't know. It's a tough one. I didn't expect anything different from the lineup we got, and to be honest, I didn't expect a different result either. Then, as a result, because I don't know, Maresca seems really hesitant to change anything in a major way. We saw a few little tactical differences in the game, like you said. Palmer played up front. There was kind of a rotating thing up front where everyone was kind of having a go at the 9. Caicedo dropped extra deep sometimes in build-up. Was almost our third centre back at times in build-up. But it's just not enough, man. Like, none of these things actually are going to help us generate chances. None of these things are going to help us win games of football. And it makes you look back on January with even more disdain because, we've now got so many injured players out. We don't have many options about what we're going to do. And we were screaming all month in January for certain positions, a striker, a left back, and just nothing changed. The owners are just, and the sporting directors, again, it falls on them to a certain degree. Could Maresca be doing better with the tools he's got? Clearly, a lot of these players are good players, but I don't know. Clearly, he can't get enough out of them at the moment. So whether that's his problem, whether it's the sporting directors, it's probably sort of a 90-10 split in my view. It's not good, man. It's not good at all.
No, it's not good at all. I mean, by the way, shout out you, Damesh. Ollie, what is your reaction to Damesh's comment here? I mean, back 3, back 5. I don't know about that one. What do you think?
Honestly, at this point, I would take it. I've actually said all season that we're built for counter-attacking football, and I would take a Conte style back 3 at this stage. A lot of people wouldn't, but I would. We basically play with a back 3 anyway.
You know my problem with it. Number 1, who is the left wing back? It's not Cucurella, is it? And then
have to be him, I guess.
You can't let Reece James do this. He'll last 10 minutes. Then Gusto is also not available. So who's going to be right wing back? You can play Neto in one of them.
It's probably not very realistic. It's not realistic at all. But I mean, he's got to change something, hasn't he? Because it's I don't know. I just feel at this point you've got to change something. But we know we're gonna turn up in the next game with more or less this exact team, with more or less exact same formation, with more or less the exact same tactics, and we'll just get picked apart again. So unless we do something different, we're just going to be banging our heads into a wall for the rest of the season. And we're not going to be winning many games between now and the rest of the season. If we are, we've got a really tough running. We're going to have to try and do something differently, whether that's giving Tyreek George a run of starts, whether it's playing that Amugu fella, maybe he's all right. Maybe it's giving Achiampong more minutes, because his minutes have dried up completely since he signed that deal. I don't know, man. I don't know where to go from here. And it also feels like a little bit like you were like, well, what are we complaining about to a certain degree? We're sort of 4th, 5th at the moment. That's about where we were supposed to be, like what we're looking at for sort of the season's goals. But the last 2 to 3 months, since mid-December, really, have just been absolutely horrible on the pitch. And it's like, well, what do you like? Something's got to change. It feels bad to be feeling so negative about the club at the moment, considering where we are on the table. But we're not going to be there for much longer with the way that we're playing. We're lucky that we've gotten this far, being this high up the table with how we've played over the last few months. So something's got to change.
It genuinely, I don't know about you guys, but it genuinely feels like a weird deja vu of the can't speak. Frank Lampard's second season. You know, when we were good start of the season. To be fair, much better than we were start of this season because we were top of the league. We won the Conference League. We were actually in the Champions League back then, not in the Conference League, and won the Champions League group stage comfortably, 4-0 in Seville. And then we went from early December into late January, which just lost nearly every game. Lampard got sacked. And that's kind of what it feels like right now. I mean, Dimitar, first of all, your kind of thoughts on the state of the squad right now. Obviously, you were someone that defended Pochettino a lot more than other people did. Obviously, Pochettino got some stick for the injury stuff as well. Do we now sit here and say maybe that was just wrong? I mean, obviously, injuries have gone up compared to last season for every club, but they were still already high for every club last year. You know, we weren't the only one. And arguably, the injury crisis was worse last season than this season. But I'm not trying to put blame back on Poch. I'm saying he had it even worse than Maresca has it right now. But I want you to go from the whole squad thing to then taking it into where do we stand on the manager here? Because, you know, some people in chat are saying, elite manager would fix this straight away. Some other people are saying, yeah, but the owners, you can't blame them for everything. What do you do from here?
Okay. First of all, big up Darmesh in the chat. And second of all, this is one of my favorite kids regarding one of his comments. And it should not make him sad. It should make him happy because we won the league against Leicester in 2015 with this kid. Anyway, so about the squad building. Squad building is horrendous. The direction in which they took us is horrendous. The comment on, will an elite manager now fix the squad or will he magically do something else? Most probably not, because an elite manager would not go to this position in the first place. And I think
let's ignore that fact for a second. Let's pretend an elite manager would turn up. Then
the thing is that Maresca has been trying to change things up. Maybe since the beginning of January, we see some tweaks here and there in the games. We don't invert every single game. Sometimes we play with a flat four. Sometimes we invert. Sometimes Cucurella plays as a second striker. Sometimes Gusto plays as a second striker, like today. The thing is that overall, the chance creation was okay. And then all of a sudden, people started saying, well, Jackson doesn't score goals. Jackson doesn't do this. Jackson doesn't do that. Okay, fair enough. Then Jackson goes out of the team. And now we're forced to play Nkunku. We're forced to play more of our wingers who can score goals. And all of a sudden, not only the chances dry up, but we can't literally hit the goalpost. We can't hit the goal. We can't put the shot on target. And this, I think, has more to do with the fact that Maresca is very adamant about the way we attack. In the middle, he has changed up some things. In the defensive build-up, he has changed up some things. But in the way we attack, almost every game for the past 2 months, we see the left and the right back at various times in the game together in the box. And I find that extremely annoying. We even had it in our chat a few games ago where I literally said, I am sick and tired of seeing Cucurella with the ball at his feet in the box, and then he scored a goal and we turned the game around. But this doesn't happen every game. I don't think it's very sustainable and viable to have your wingers just scramble the ball outside of the box, passing it to each other, trying to do dribblings and take-ons and stuff like that, and having Gusto and Cucurella in the box, sometimes ending up at the end of crosses, sometimes having to shoot, sometimes just not knowing what to do with the ball at their feet in the box. And I think this is something which is very telling for our system because we have created chances, yes, but I firmly believe that most of them in the past 4 or 5 months fell to the wrong players. And the fact that Palmer scored almost every single shot he made, the fact that also Jackson had in the first 10 games, I think had 9 or 8 goals in the first 10 games. So he was basically scoring every single shot that came to his feet. He had, I think, a positive XG. So he was overperforming in those first 10, 8, 11 games. And the second that dried up, the second that Palmer started to show a little bit downturn in his form, the other player just could not keep up. They could not step up. They could not do anything because they were kind of relying on Palmer and Jackson too much, I believe. And here comes the inexperience of the manager, because an elite manager would have seen that a bit earlier and maybe tried to change things up in the attack. Because even when we were winning, we still considered them goals. I mean, we know who Sanchez is. We know who our defenders are. We have the Bozo gene. It was inevitable that we would just keep concede 2 goals every game. But when the goals at the other end dry up, then that's a problem. And I think he approached it maybe from a, not saying a wrong standpoint, but he was maybe too adamant in the way he wants to attack, and I think that was what should have changed. And then, of course, as both of you said, not signing anyone in the winter in the attacking area was just criminal. It could have been an attacking winger. It could have been another number 10. It could have been a striker. We just needed someone who knows how to score goals. And I think these players were on the market. We saw the loans of Kolumwani. We saw even Asensio. We saw Rashford go. We saw some transfers in that department. We saw Aston Villa buy also Donny O'Malley, I believe. So there was...
Let me stop you there for a second. We have to be honest as well. If we signed any of those players you just mentioned, none of us would have been happy with that. So now,
we would not have been happy.
At the time, we would have all moaned, though.
I think the problem is that they did not address a problem that was existing. I mean, because everything can happen. You can buy Gyökeres for 120 million, he can snap his ACL in the first game. That can happen. And it has happened in the past. So just not doing anything is the problem. Even if you make a mistake, I think the fans would have moaned much, much less if we had just gotten a loan in. And let's say the loan didn't work out, whatever. They tried to change up something. But Maresca kept saying, oh, we're happy with these players. I want this player to stay. I am a fan of Joao Felix, and then sends him to Milan. They spent the first 2 weeks trying to ship Nkunku off. Then when they saw no one will pay money for him, they said, okay, let's ship Felix off. So they had some kind of strategy.
I mean, you just spoke about it. We didn't sign anyone. Not only did we not sign anyone.
Oh, yeah. We got rid of players.
We gave away that little bit of attacking depth that we had. We sent them out on loan. Like it's mind-bogglingly stupid. It genuinely is mind-bogglingly stupid. What is at least somewhat good to see, because I've been very annoyed with Enzo Maresca pretty much every time he's opened his mouth in the last week or two. At least he said a couple of things that I'm not trying to slap his face for, because worst performance since I arrived? Yeah. Correct, bro. And also, we're really sorry for the fans. 14 games to go, and we need to do much, much, much better than we have tonight. You know what, Enzo Maresca? You need to do much, much, much better, not just than tonight, but than any game since Everton. You know, this like only tonight has been bad. It's the thing that pisses me off. Well, how long is it ago that he said we are better than we were 2 months ago? You know, what is that bollocks that he keeps waffling? Like, honestly, I'm really not, and you know, Dimitar and Oli know me to an extent right by now. People that have followed the streams for a while, they will have an idea of this. I am not the person that goes for the manager. Like I am never like manager out. That's just not me, because I'm always like, every manager that you ever hear speaking in interviews says it takes about 1.5 years, 2 years until things actually work the way you want them to work as a manager. But, and the big problem is, other than Jose Mourinho from 2004 to 2007, we've never had a manager last any longer than that. So we don't actually know if that's true or not. Chelsea fans have no idea. That's also why Chelsea fans are so quick to call for the manager to be sacked, because we've never actually, for better or worse, been given the opportunity to see what happens when things go badly, you stick with them. We don't know. But hey, at least for once he said we were terrible and not pretended like we were good for some weird reason. But my God, I mean, I had the stats sheet up. Sometimes for some reason today, it doesn't want to let me change screens that I'm trying to share. There you go. I said earlier, less XG than last time. 0.57. Now, to be fair, in the hours after a game, this number usually goes up. So if you check tomorrow morning or whatever, this might be a little higher than it is right now. But at the end of the day,
that's still shit, though.
It's very shit. Let me go to the main stats. Like, 0 shots on target. We had a big chance. Not sure which one that was supposed to be, but there you go.
Probably in the last minutes. In the last minutes, probably,
or that one. But is that our chance? Because it was just nearly an own goal, wasn't it? So
no, I think you're right. Maybe it's the Neto chance. It's the Neto chance. Yeah, you're probably right.
It might have been Neto's chance. You were definitely Poch out and Potter out. No, I was not Potter out. And yes, I was Poch out to an extent. But come on now, if you're giving me a Spurs legend, I was Poch out from the day he signed the contract. Obviously,
I was Potter out. Fuck Potter, worst manager. Yeah, no,
I know. I'm not saying I'm right when I'm not, as easily for manager out. But I just think, and I've thought this for we're going to nearly a decade where I'm like, well, we constantly keep sacking the manager after 18 months. It doesn't really seem to work out very well. So maybe we should try something different for once.
It used to work out better, at least. I mean, we used to win an odd trophy here and there, even with bad managers.
We did. And, even last year we were in 2 cup finals and didn't win any of them. Wait, no, we were only in 1 cup final. But even still, nearly in 2. We're unlucky in the other semi-final. Could have been in a second. But my God, you look at this game and you're like, let me come back to you, Ollie. It's, the bad thing is, and I said this during the game, I was genuinely sat there, and obviously it was because we were 2-0 down or maybe even 3-0 down already. I was genuinely struggling to keep focus on my TV. And I know, obviously, it's 2025, TikTok's ruining all our attention spans. I get it. But it's never this bad. It's never this bad where I'm like, I don't even want to watch. Like, it's so unbelievably boring. It's genuinely mind-numbing to watch us play football. I think it's more interesting to, either hit your head against the wall or just paint it. Whichever thing you prefer. After watching Chelsea, you'd probably rather hit yourself against the wall. But it's I can't get my head around how boring it is to watch. And I'm like, people were chanting boring, boring Chelsea when we were winning the league. Now, what on earth are we now? I guess it's entertaining to everybody else. Everybody else will be having a great time, us losing 3-0. But I think what Dimitar explained earlier is very important, but I still don't really know the reason for. Yeah, okay, Jackson going out of form, right? But it can't just be Jackson going out of form and maybe slightly Palmer going out of form. We have no patterns at the moment. Like, what we were complaining so much about last year? There's no patterns. And we had patterns in November. But now there's none. We don't have runners. We don't have movement. We don't have, chemistry. We have constant miscommunication all over the place. There was a moment today in the game where it's difficult for me to properly explain it if people don't remember the moment. But essentially, there was a bit of a loose ball. There was Chalobah reasonably close to it and Caicedo reasonably close to it. Chalobah kind of takes a step towards the ball. That makes Caicedo stop going after the ball. But then Chalobah also stopped going at the ball.
Yeah.
And that meant the Brighton player ran through us and Caicedo had to give a stupid foul away, which got him booked. And I'm like, to be fair, Chalobah did only turn up 2 weeks ago. So I guess maybe that's why there is miscommunication, I suppose, because we banished him from training instead of getting to know his teammates last summer. But Ollie, how can he be so boring? How can he be so bad?
I genuinely, I can't tell you, mate. I hate watching us play. I've hated watching us play for the last month or so. I think I've said it in the chat a few times. I genuinely despise watching us play football at the moment because it's really, really boring. And I wouldn't mind it if we were actually generating chances and doing something with it, but it's backwards, sideways, playing in a horseshoe around the opposition box. Get the ball on the edge of the box, it's Gusto or it's James or it's Palmer or it's Madueke, gets the ball sort of in the right half space near the edge of the box, blasts it over the bar, blasts it wide. I've never seen a team blast the ball over the bar as many times as us. It's criminal. But I don't know, man. Like at least the football last season was entertaining. Say what you want about Pochettino. I've certainly wasn't his biggest fan by any stretch, but it just feels like, again, like how have we managed to get as far up the table as we have this season, despite playing this kind of football for a lot of it. And actually, I was having a look earlier. I think after match week 26, which I think was this week, we were on 43 points last season. I think something like. Oh no, we were on 38 points last season. We're on 43 at the moment. And
was it after how many games did you say?
I think it's 26, I think.
Well, we've played now 25.
25. All right. So about the same. And if you take the points we've got this season and put it in the league last season at this stage, we'd be in about 7th. So the league is a little weaker this season, or stronger, depending on which way you want to look at it. So, there's a certain thing about this where it's actually what we're saying, are we actually better?
Teams around us those points, though.
Yeah,
so maybe then you wouldn't be 7th anymore. But I get your point.
But you see my point. Like, are we actually better than last season? Is what I'm saying. And the answer is, I don't know. Maybe not. Like, it's really difficult, man. Like, it's hard to watch us play at the moment. Like you say, it's hard to stay focused and pay attention to the game because you know exactly the patterns of play that we're going to play. Like, least of all, the opposition manager and team know what we're going to do. We're sitting there in front of our tellies knowing what we're going to do. Obviously, the other teams are going to know what we're going to do. So it's people just set up to be able to counter us easily, and then nothing works and it's boring, and Maresca changes nothing. So I don't know. Like, it seems what we need at this club at the moment is change. Something needs to change. But at the moment, nothing's changing.
Nothing is changing. And also, it's the 14th of February. What can you change now? Like, sure, you can change the sporting directors. Isn't going to do anything until the summer, though. So,
I would still change him now because at least
no,
they could
I
then,
agree.
like,
But
plan
it
for
won't
next
make it better.
season,
That's
but-
what I'm saying. Like, we won't see the effects of that very soon, which is why probably people will hate it because people, will hire new sporting directors. Obviously, none of this will happen. I'm very confident that, well, just quickly, everybody say their thoughts. I think in the next, depending on how bad it continues going, I think either in the next month Maresca gets sacked or he gets sacked in the summer. And one of those two. I do not believe that the sport directors will get changed. I think they will get another go. I think if I could see something, I think they might change one of them. But I really can't see changing both of them. What do you think, Dimitar? Where do you see this going from now? Because we talk about it, we need to change the sporting directors, and we do. But do we think that's going to happen?
I think basically what I thought about Poch this time last year, if Europe becomes mathematically impossible, they will sack the coach, I believe. Which also means basically if we get eliminated from the Conference League, which would mean we can't qualify for the Europa directly through it, I think basically this is when they would sack Maresca. This is the situation where I see that happening. And yeah, the next thing is even if he lasts, the second he makes transfer demands in the summer, the second he says, no, wait, guys, I want to have some input on the players, he's out.
Yeah.
So I think that the best solution would be to change the sporting directors now, or at least to try and get someone in who has better footballing experience, who can work with the coach. Because whatever we think, whatever we want for a manager, for a director, these two people should work together at least in some capacity. And we know always there will be club signings, but there should also be managerial signings. If you sign 5 players in the summer, it would be normal for 2 of them to be direct managerial choices, and maybe 2 or 3 to be club signings. This is normal. I think this could be a healthy mixture. But when we have a situation where...
You can finish that point
in
a second. I just want to say, the point is why you have sport directors. The point is that they hire managers who, even if you give them the choice, their choices aren't going to be like completely against
of course,
what the sport directors should want anyway. Like when we had this issue, say when, I don't know, Jose wanted a few weird players, or Conte is maybe the best example. Conte between first and second season, after he basically made us get rid of Diego Costa, and then he was asking for bloody Andy Carroll. Don't give him Andy Carroll. You don't have to go that. But
he got more
striker.
No, okay. But at the time,
I know.
We were looking for a Diego Costa replacement, though. You know what I mean? Like, don't give me Andy Carroll as a Diego Costa replacement. So, but no, you're right. I mean, my God. I mean, did you want to continue that in terms of where does it go from now? Because my worry is, and I'll just bring something up on screen. Hopefully, it lets me do it straight away as I would like. If we do change the manager, this is going to be the next guy. Most people might not know who that is. This is Liam Rosenior. I'm not sure how you're actually supposed to pronounce his name. He's English. Liam James is his name, so that's, super creative. He is currently the Strasbourg manager. If we change the manager, this will be our next manager. I am very confident of it. Maybe Iraola, but would you leave?
I have no faith in us to get a manager who has any degree of experience whatsoever. If anything, we will go younger. We will go less experienced. There is nothing I'm more sure of in this earth than Clearlake choosing someone who is not fit for the job.
Yeah, it's 100% true. I mean, Ollie, what do you think happens with Maresca from now? Obviously, purely your own opinion and speculation, but do you agree with the way Dimitar said it? Like, is it kind of connected to Champions, to like once Europe becomes impossible? The thing is, obviously, as supposedly Champions League isn't the expectation, that means as long as we are in the Conference League, our European qualification is still possible. And my God, if we are knocked out of the Conference League, we might as well just dig our own grave and sit in it. Because I don't want to open TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I don't want to open any internet anymore if we get knocked out of the Conference League. That would be the most embarrassing thing that might have ever happened in football. I mean, yeah, but Ollie, what do you think happens from here with the manager? Like, I know you say you want the sport directors gone. But do you think that happens?
No, I think Clear Lake have got too much ego, too much skin in the game with it to sack their own guys. I just don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to admit that they have made a failure that's this large. I think they'd rather try and bring it round to something that they could at least not be ashamed by, which isn't going to work. I think with Maresca, I think if we don't win the Conference League, he's gone regardless. Unless we got top form, then maybe not. If we don't get Champions League and we don't win the Conference League, he's probably going to go. I think Dimmy's right. It's likely very results based, because at the end of the day, what do these owners want? They want the money. They want the prize money from being in these competitions, from these big competitions. So if they've not got a manager who's going to deliver them that, then they will get rid of him, and they'll just bring in someone else who is, also a bit of a yes man, will also accept all the signings that they make, will also, say basically nothing after we lose for 2 months on the row. I hate to sound like a broken record here, but it's not going to change, and regardless of if we get rid of Maresca or not.
Yeah, 100%. The only thing that kind of defeats that theory that these qualifications are so important to them, if those prize monies or the money that you get for qualifying for these competitions was so important to them, wouldn't we have a from the shirt sponsor? So it almost makes you question, is the money so important to them? I genuinely don't know. I mean, they're running out of
the only thing I can think of that, like,
profit. But
it's the only thing I can think of that motivates them at this stage, though, is the thing, because they're clearly not interested in sporting success. I mean, look at us, so what could the only other reason for them being in this club in the first place be? It's probably to redevelop the stadium, make a bunch of money off of that, make a bunch of money off of the tickets, make a bunch of money off, having Celine Dion play at Stamford Bridge, the new Stamford Bridge or whatever, and then, and then sell us and make a big profit off that in the end. The way I see it, I can't see them making any decisions that don't directly benefit their wallets.
I mean, I agree in a way. The only thing that I kind of question is, in this modern market, how expensive it is to build a stadium in London, where we are, whether it's in the same spot or Earl's Court or wherever it may be, I don't really see how you make money from that within less than 10 years. And they're not even here. Like, by the time the stadium's going to be done, if they ever build one, they are going to be close to their 10-year period anyway. So when are they going to make this money back? It's genuinely mind-boggling. Pys, I'm not sure if people will have seen this on Twitter. Pys is of the opinion that this whole they can't sell for 10 years is actually not fully true. So make of that what you will. But my God, Dimitar, I think you wanted to kind of add something to what Oli was saying. What was that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that qualifying for some form of European competition is a base minimum for them, because even if we meme around and say, oh, how much money does the Conference League bring? It brings some money. And at the end of the year, they have proven that the balance sheets is what they look for first. And if we manage to go and qualify for a Champions League, that's great. That's a lot of extra money. They can sign all the 15-year-olds they want. If we qualify for Europa League, then they can say, oh, it's something. And this is also another avenue to get into the Champions League the season after next season. But if we can't make even the Europa League, then that's a problem. Because all of a sudden then you are again in the cheapest competition, and God forbid we don't even make the Conference League. And then that is also embarrassing. No sponsors again. And this will also hurt shirt sales, because we all know that they love the shirt sales. They love the extra merch. They release new merch basically every 4 weeks. And these are things that, yeah, they may not be super important, but they are on the list of revenue streams. And if you start cutting revenue streams, at some point, you can cut all of them. And we also know that the shirt sales are not going as planned this season. Maybe that's because of the sponsor. Maybe people don't like it. We don't know. But we heard some noise about that maybe a couple of months ago. And if you have less competition, this means less shirt sales, obviously, because it's less marketing, less all of the things that we do. So I believe
I'm really not sure the Conference League adds much compared to the Premier League, if I'm honest.
It
No,
probably
no,
does in the
of
niche
course
market
not.
where we'd be playing.
Of course not, but still, I mean, if you win the Conference League, at least it's a trophy and it's the possibility to get the maximum amount of money from that competition. And if you're not qualified, then you get zero regardless. So
No. In that sense, obviously, I meant more in terms of does it actually improve shirt sales whether you're in a Conference League or not. I'm not. I think we're maybe beyond that.
It might in the more like niche countries though that we're playing in.
Yeah,
like, you know, like
maybe it does a little bit. I don't know. All the niche countries in Europe watch Premier League anyway, so I'm like, but maybe, you know, we made some friends in the Conference League, so maybe their clubs, their fans are more likely to buy our shirt now, I suppose.
no, I mean,
I don't know.
In general, if we win a competition, there's gonna be special kits with it. There's gonna be champions of Europe and all this blah blah. So it's a possibility. And one thing I know with Americans and investment banking, it's not the reality; it's how you can sell the reality. So if there is this possibility, we can win something and then make extra merch. Then this is possible revenue. But if you're not in the competition, it's zero possible revenue. So you can't sell that. I mean.
And Lods as well, just in response to, so I was just thinking about what you said in terms of the stadium and, you know, like how would they make their money back on it? I believe that they would use the development of a new stadium to price the club at a higher point when they did sell it. So, you know, they'd factor in the cost of a new stadium in selling the club and what that would potentially bring a new investor, you know, so instead of being 4 billion, it'd be 5.5 or 6.
You're right, 100%. And there probably would be some sort of buyers. But it's difficult, like the way things are going, the way we feel things are going. Obviously, in their minds, we're going to be in the Champions League by the time this new stadium is done. It's not going to be a problem. But in my mind, it's like, if I think about the way it went at Arsenal, if you spend a lot of money on a stadium, you can't afford to buy good players. But the problem is nowadays, it's not like Arsenal where there was 3 or 4 rich teams. Now there's 8 or 9 or 10. So that means if you can't afford to buy the players that the others can, then you're just going to drop that further and further back and you're going to be 8th, 9th, 10th eventually. And then will you still be able to sell the club for the 4 billion they bought it for plus the stadium on top? So 6, 7, 8 billion for them to make money back? I don't know. Maybe.
I don't
maybe
know.
not.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe,
exactly.
maybe not.
I mean,
you're talking prime real estate in
later
London at the end of the day.
Gary Neville has actually finally, I say Gary Neville has finally, the media has actually said something useful for once, where it's like essentially questioning our recruitment and questioning the people that do the recruitment. But just to take a look at this game, and obviously you boys haven't been on for a little while, and we do player ratings, but I don't want to, like this kind of game, I just don't feel like, you know, looking at everything in every detail and opening every stat. And
Just give everyone a 2. Just give everyone a 2. They don't deserve more. I mean, really.
Kind of like that. I mean, we will say our ratings, but it's more
very
like
generous.
Quickly just go through the players in terms of where we stand on it now. Because the thing is, these players here, these 11 plus Sancho, well, I guess minus Maresca and minus Gusto now that they got injured, they're going to be the players that we're going to see 90% of the games from now on because we don't have many other players than these lot. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll start with Jurgensen. Thoughts? Dimitar, is he worse than Sanchez? Is he better than Sanchez? Does it not make a difference? Is it at least he's younger, so it's a bit more okay if he makes mistakes, I guess?
I think he didn't make any mistakes from the type that Sanchez would make, but he made other mistakes. So his passing was good. I believe his passing was okay. He looked comfortable on the ball. But, for example, his decision-making in positioning for the first goal was horrendous. Because from the stream I was watching, they showed a camera from the perspective of behind Mitoma, and the second Mitoma controls that ball, Jurgensen is in no man's land.
Mm-hmm.
He is in such a bad position that he cannot save the ball if it's in the corner, and Mitoma, of course, puts it right in the corner. So he kind of did like 2 steps forward and 1 step backwards. Then he ran into a semi-decent position. He could have saved it if Mitoma made a bad shot, but his positioning was bad. For the other goals, I don't know. He didn't do much, but
he still had a hand on it, didn't he? So
yeah,
I would argue, even with his positioning, he arguably could have saved it.
I think he was not worse than Sanchez, but maybe a 2.5 because he's not the reason we lost, but he's not a good goalkeeper, man. I mean, maybe he can develop a bit, but even if he improves a lot, is he better? Is he good enough for a top 4 team? I don't think so.
No. I mean, it's tough, isn't it, with goalkeepers? A goalie at 22, it's not the complete goalie, you know. He will be
of course.
in a few years, but I mean, he did have that one terrible pass towards the end. Maybe you forgot.
Yeah,
about
that
it.
was really
That
bad.
one. By that point, we were 3-0 down. I don't think it mattered at that point. You know what I mean? But I mean, there was good moments. I even said it earlier in the game in our group chat. I was like, "This the difference between Jorgensen and Sanchez. We played it out through their press. Gusto went on a run, squared it to Palmer, and Palmer had a terrible shot. And that only happened because Jorgensen passed it out well. It didn't punt it into no man's land like Sanchez.
No, his short passing was actually very good. I mean, I can say that safely.
Yeah, exactly. And I enjoy how calm he is in that situation, but. Yeah, probably I'd go like a 3 if I'm honest. Ollie, where would you go? You could give him a 4 as well. Like, yeah, he should have done better for the goal, but it's more like a collective issue than it is a him issue.
Yeah, I was tempted to go with a 2, and then I remembered that he actually did make that good save at the end by putting the ball onto the post for when they would have scored their 4th. I mean, like at 0-0, everyone's talking about that save and how brilliant a save it is. Obviously, we're already 2-0 down at that point. It's not going to make a difference. So yeah, he gets a 3. He gets a +1 for that save, but ultimately not a good showing from him today. He struggled in some really quite important moments. I'd still ham him over Sanchez every day of the week and twice on Sunday, but not a good game for him.
Unfortunately, it was Friday, right?
Yeah.
Getting to the centre backs, and I want to start with Chalobah because obviously he was the one that made the big individual error. The thing is, like, obviously, again, can you as the defender expect that touch to end up that perfect? Maybe not. Fair enough. But the problem starts before that. It's a long ball from the goalkeeper. We have a line of 4. You know, usually the defenders just head that ball away. Yeah. You know, there's a long ball sailing through the air for 70, 80 yards. Just head it.
Because we're playing so high in that moment.
Just head it out the way. I don't understand, man. Like
the whole defensive line was so high up, which is what caused the line then had to drop to meet that ball, which then Mitoma met in the air and plucked out the air really well. But
even then, it's such a long. It's so in the air for so long.
Yeah, you see it coming the whole
time
way.
Of the ball being in the air, you should be able to drop enough to clear it.
Yeah, and it's really
that was the point why they played the long ball to make exactly this happen, but it shouldn't keep happening.
But and you know what? It's not even just for the goal where I thought Chalobah was poor tonight. He was caught out a lot. You know, there were a lot of moments where he was the player who he's so clumsy, man. Like the way he plays, like he'll either foul someone or he'll fall over himself and let the player go past him, or he's not got quite the agility to be able to like step in and make a good tackle. It's mental. He comes back from playing at Palace. Everyone thinks he's the second coming of Jesus Christ because he played amazingly. And then he has one training session with Maresca. And now this is what we've got. You know, like he was really poor today. I'm not happy with him at all. I'll give him a 2.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, Dimitar. Any words to add? Otherwise, what's your rating?
Yeah, basically what Ollie said. I was really disappointed with him because I also expected more. I think Chalobah is weirdly a confidence type defender. If he starts playing regularly and he plays good, the thing excels with momentum. Like the end of last season, I think it was a prime example for that because when he came in the end of last season, he was shaky first 2 games, and then by the end he was probably one of our best defenders, I would say. But if it starts the other way around, you come off hot and then your form drops, then I don't know where his form can stop dropping. So this is what worries me a bit. But like I said, disappointed. I expected more from him. So a 2 is fine for me.
Yeah, I'd go along with that as well. And we go to another individual who I need to have a real go at because was it him last week already, or was that against West Ham where he played that back pass? It was West Ham, wasn't it? Yeah.
He didn't play last week, I think. He didn't play in the FA Cup.
Oh, yeah,
he
true.
was on the bench,
So it was the last time he did play. He passed
against West Ham, I believe. Yeah.
The opposition, calling for a foul that never was a foul. And now he did the same thing again. I could not believe he was barely touched. Like this is football. This is a contact sport. I don't know, like, I don't know if he thought it was a pampering session with his grandma or something, but like, how can you ask for a foul for that? And then not only is he asking for a foul, he's sitting on the floor while they are passing the ball into our box. He's not even getting up and running back. Excuse me, Levi. That is get your head out there. Bloody hell. Stop living in Southampton, driving to training 2.5 hours every day. Maybe you're a bit tired because whatever you're doing is not the fuck working. Stop being at home with your family. Oh, it feels so much nicer at home. I don't give a shit. Stop asking for fouls when you're not getting fouled. Maybe you need to live with other people that are a bit harsher to you because you think getting touched is a foul. Fuck off. What is this? Supposed to be a big man centre back, gives it the big one after the West Ham. We make mistakes, we learn from them. What? You made a mistake last game. And now you played again and made the same stupid mistake again. Where is the learning, bro? Nah, honestly, for that reason, because this is more like a mistake happens, but doing something ridiculous, not getting fouled, asking for a foul, blaming others, that's even worse than making mistakes. I'm giving him a 1. It pissed me off so much, and there was other moments. I'm sure he did some good things. I'm sure he did some other bad things, but that is the thing that stood out because I'm like, twice in 2 games, a centre back is calling for a foul when he gets touched. It's embarrassing. It's genuinely embarrassing. And the biggest sign for where our club is right now. He's one of our leaders, and he does that. He does that. Oh my god!
I've never seen a player. I've genuinely never seen a centre back, certainly a defender who plays for Chelsea, be such a whiny little baby about everything. Colwill, honestly, he's got to fix his attitude right up because he is the whiniest little bitch I've ever seen to be over 6 foot and be playing at centre fucking back. If you're not going to be happy about playing there, you best play you up further up the pitch because if you're going to be fucking giving the ball away all the time, we may as well not have you be giving the ball away in such shit positions. And then to turn around like that and whine and bitch and moan and point the finger at everyone else when it's your fucking fault, mate. Honestly, the way he's been playing lately, it's made me think that we should have scammed Liverpool 80 million for him when we had the chance. Because at the moment, he's proven to be maybe worth a quarter of that at absolute maximum. I'm so fed up with him at the moment.
It's a joke. Dimitar, anything to add? What would you make of
players? I kind of think that it was very soft, but it could have been given as a foul. Now, his attitude... his attitude inexcusable.
Get up and try and defend. But also,
the thing is...
Don't fall over. Because it's a risk. If the ref doesn't give it and you've fallen over and you're on the floor as a centre-back, the risk you run by...
Oh, no, of course. And the problem here is, I think, he doesn't have any role models. I mean, genuinely, does anyone in this team currently have any role models? Any person with experience? Just any head in the dressing room who can say, hey, bro, we should do this and this, we're fucking up. No one can do that. Because we have
it's
Tosin, and he's played for Fulham in the Championship every year.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a J. Cole track out here. No role models. That's what.
I mean, and the thing is, you don't need to have John Terry next to you to tell you this. You don't need Alessandro Nesta. You don't need Carles Puyol. You just need someone who has played maybe 5, 6, 7 years in the Premier League who can just tell you at the end of the game, hey, bro, you keep falling off on the ball. You get fouled too easily. You should not do that. This is the Prem. But at the end of the day, Colwill is probably our most experienced centre-back right now. I think, Tosin has more games in the Prem, but Tosin played for Fulham, I think, and Colwill at least played for a Brighton, which played some kind of good brand of football like 2 years ago. So Colwill is basically our most experienced defender, and he does that. So, how is this supposed to work?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it's not.
And we have Thiago Silva there. Again, it seems to have been more of his decision, but could you have begged him to stay for another year? I think you could have, and I think he would have said yes, and I think we would have been better off for it, if I'm honest. But hey, there you go.
But how are they going to bring down the average age of the squad with if he was still here, Loz? Aren't you thinking of the important things?
Yeah.
The thing is, and the thing that's make this so ridiculous, PSG squad is only barely older than ours, but they're actually winning every game. You know what I mean? That's the sad thing about it. But there you go. I mean, Dimitar, do you want something very different to a 1 day? Very good. Cucurella, honestly, where do you stand on a player playing in a stadium where he gets booed every time he touches the ball? Do you give that as a bit of almost an excuse to them that by the end that's going to be mentally a bit draining, or do you think that shouldn't play a factor at all?
To be honest, if I'm Brighton, grow the fuck up, man. Honestly,
by the way, they booed everyone.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is with Cucurella specifically, but he has like this. There's this narrative that he's like some kind of like nasty, awful person. Maybe it's because he helped
nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, maybe it's that because he helped knock England out of the Euros. Maybe that's what it is. But
I mean,
maybe, but they did
I
this
can
last
understand him being booed in Germany, but in Brighton, come on, they got 70 million for him. Come on.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Literally.
He's given you a brand new, like, a training ground. He's given like every single toilet in the Brighton's entire training ground could be gold plated with Cucurella's face on it. Don't do it. He's the only reason you've got any money.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying though. Like this happens to him every time he's gone to Brighton since we signed him. So I don't know why they're so.
But didn't they boo everyone? They booed Caicedo, they booed Colwill. I mean, they literally booed everyone
as well. So at least this time they had one less player.
But nobody got.
To be honest, I'm surprised they didn't boo Colwill as well. But there you go.
Yeah.
Cucurella, obviously poor defending for the goal as well. We talked about already Colwill in the build-up to that, but then obviously Minteh goes around Cucurella way, way, way too easily. Even if the shot then takes a deflection, and who knows what happens without that deflection. Yeah, he obviously, as you can see on screen, he played the left centre-back more than he played the inverting role today, even though there was a lot of also, let me just shift it around, there was a lot of also almost creating like a 2-3 with almost Cucurella and Gusto inverting, but, it was very fluid and not clear that it was more this or more that. But so you definitely saw him less. I also think this is not necessarily the best idea because, especially against teams like Brighton, we need his intensity in the area of the pitch where it matters. And because Brighton sits so deep, the area of the pitch where it mattered was not our back three. If anything, he then stepped up more because he realized the guys in front of him need his intensity, and that meant there was even bigger gaps. So, yeah, not ideal. I'll probably give him the same as Jurgensen.
Yeah,
would you go along with that, Dimitar?
I would say 3, but can I just add something on Colwill? I read something in the chat. I didn't realize he's still 21, which is absolutely insane, by the way. That he's supposed to be one of our leaders at 21. Just saying that.
Yeah, how old did you think he was?
At least 23, maybe. I don't know, because he's been around for such a long time. I mean, even
he just played at Brighton when he was 19. So
but yeah. Anyway, on Cucurella, I think he's also lost a bit of his edge. I don't know if it's the constant shifting of does he invert this week, does he not? Is he a second striker, second left winger, third right winger? I think it's messing up with him. It's messing up his head and a couple of other players as well. That the positions are not so stable, they're not so routine. Like, I think this has something to do with it, and he has looked off it for a couple of weeks now as well, where the things that he used to do so well in the Euros and last year, the routine, it's completely gone, I feel. And he makes some mistakes, he makes some good decisions, but it's very inconsistent, and I'm worried also about him. I think 3 this game is okay, but it's a consistent issue with him, I believe, like with a couple of other guys, sadly.
Yeah, I might not have necessarily gone that far because I thought most games I still thought he was one of our better players at least, but certainly not as good anymore.
But certainly you have to agree, in the Euros he had a specific job. He did that job perfectly well. In the last 5 to 10 games last season, he had a job, he did it well. In the beginning of the season, he also had a job, he did it well. And with time, it's like he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. Also, in some situations, I believe,
now he's got 6 jobs.
That as well.
That's it. But he needs to do too many things because we slightly shift it around all the time. We also sold his backup or sent his backup out on home, so he's now the only person that plays his role in the whole team. Not helpful. I mean, Ollie, would you go along with a 3? What did you make?
3's fine. Yeah, I don't really have too much more to say. He's probably one of our better players lately. Disappointed today for his level. 3 is about right.
There you go. Fair enough. Ollie, I'll stick with you quickly. Gusto obviously got injured, which is not ideal. Honestly, I thought he was better than he was last week against Brighton, but he was still bad.
I thought he was okay. Got himself into all right attacking positions, I thought, because shock horror when you have him bombing up the right-hand side instead of,
it's better,
shock horror. It actually works when you put him in the position where he seems to do better, and he does better. Who'd have thought? Yeah, he was fine, but I thought he was dispossessed a lot too easily in midfield. I thought he was bullied a lot physically, especially in the sort of the more right back positions. Minteh gave him a really hard time whenever he came up against him. Believer gave him a really hard time as well. I'd be going a 3. Yeah, and Mitoma gave him a really, really hard time. I'd be giving him a 3. I don't think he was our worst player today. I'll cut him a bit of slack because he got injured, but not good.
There you go. Dimitar, similar words, or did you see something?
Yeah, and also basically what I said about Cucurella, I think we also shift Gusto's job a lot, and this messes up with his head. But I also agree with Oli that in the few situations where he ended up far on the right wing, next to the touchline, it gave more space for Neto, and it made for some interesting attacks. So when he further, So yeah, I mean, if Maresca, if he gets fit, and if Maresca decides to actually play him on the right wing more often than not, maybe this can be some part of a comeback for us in the later part of the season. But yeah, 3 basically very, very sad that he got injured.
Yeah, I go along with the same. I don't think he was great defensively. There was a couple of moments where he was good offensively, but even then, there was 2 good balls. There was also one where I'm like, because the one where Madueke ends up getting injured, I still thought the Madueke was offside, which was another one of those typical Gusto moments where I'm like, you ran with the ball for 40 meters and then waited so long to pass that the guy was offside. But it was like, okay, we didn't see it. Maybe he was just about on. Maybe I'm doing him a bit harshly here, but yeah,
I think he was on. Actually, I think he was barely on. If I remember,
maybe he was just on. But even then, why are you taking this risk? He could have played that pass 10 meters earlier. Anyways, in the end, obviously, he got Madueke injured, so he didn't exactly help anybody. Move on to Caicedo. He got subbed off for Dewsbury Hall today, which I don't know if Maresca was like, okay, we're 3-0 down, let's go more attacking. I don't know if that was the plan or what, but I've never seen a more disgraceful substitution in my life, taking Caicedo off for Dewsbury Hall. I mean, does it get any worse?
I think this was survival. We can't afford to get him injured in the last 10 minutes of a game we're losing 3-0.
Or worse, sent off because he was on a yellow, and if he lost his head, like he did for when he got his yellow card, he fully lost his head in that moment.
Yeah.
He was lucky he was lucky he didn't catch him worse and end up getting sent off for it, because he totally wasn't in control at that moment. Again, bullied today, bullied by a player who's Brighton signed to replace him in Believer. One of his worst games for us. I thought, really, again, like mostly not even necessarily in a physical sense. Mentally, really, really had a rough game. I would say maximum of 3 for him.
Fair enough, Dimitar. I would probably agree with Joel, not necessarily in that he was our best player, although maybe he was, to be honest. Maybe he was. But I'd probably say 4, because I do think there was a little bit more of a higher floor compared to the others around him. Like, I'm not saying he was amazing, but he didnn't make howlers left, right, center like the other ones. That was just my take. But Dimitar, where would you?
I'll also go with the 3, because I think I've said this a lot of times in our chat, and maybe also in this stream last year. I think that when he has to defend on the back foot, he's not that good. When he has to make tackles in an offensive manner, to press, to gegenpress, to intercept something in the opposition half, he's perfect. But when he has to defend on the back foot, when he has to defend in back spaces, he's either not in the right place, or he just loses his head with some dumb yellow cards. And I think that what we should be focusing with him is we should give him the safety to just roam forward. And we are currently not doing that. I think that the problems that we've been having in the last maybe 5 to 6 weeks are very similar to the ones we had last year with Poch, where we just left him in the entirety of the midfield alone, and everyone else just bombs up forward. I mean, when we see Enzo on your screen now, Enzo was basically there the entire time. And Cucurella was also sometimes on the left
position on the ball to be.
I know, but I think it would be better for him if we just had someone who could share that burden with him in some situations, because we can't have him every single attack. He's on the same position, just waiting for us to lose the ball. Basically, every time his job is to wait for your teammates to lose the ball and try to prevent a counter attack. And I don't think that's his strength. I think we should, if Lavia manages to get fit, this could fix up some of our issues, but I think we should be looking for long term for a player not to play instead of Caicedo, but maybe to play 10 to 15 games next to him, or to be able to be subbed in the 60th minute to calm down the tempo of a game. Because this is where we struggle. When we have to calm down the tempo of a game, when we have to control it, Caicedo just, I don't think, cuts it, which is not specifically anything bad about this game, but I just think we're misprofiling him a bit. And I think that the worst when we played under Poch is basically manifesting right now. When we just say to everyone, we have to score goals, everyone just runs forward, and we leave Caicedo, who's very fast, very agile, to deal with everything in defense. And I don't think that can work. I think we've seen that can't work. And basically the best we played was when either Lavia was there, or maybe that small period where Enzo had his renaissance, when he was also all over the pitch for maybe 6 or 5 weeks. But when you leave Caicedo alone, I think this is just a big managerial mistake, in my opinion.
For me, I do see someone usually trying to hold with Caicedo. It's usually either the right back or the left back. For me, it's a case of, since Fofana has been gone, we don't have right side security anymore. Which means since Fofana has been gone, Caicedo can't obviously in this game it was now the right back inverting. More often it's the left back inverting, and Caicedo covers the right kind of half of the midfield, if you will. I think when it was Cucurella next to him, without Cucurella being the guy supposed to arrive in the box to score headers, it worked. But now that you don't have the recovery defense pace of Fofana, and you can't have Cucurella next to Caicedo regularly, plus, the people in front of you being now sometimes Nkunku and people not working particularly hard, it doesn't help. For me, the only thing I'd say for Caicedo is, in terms of what you said, Dimitar, that's kind of why I'm not calling for the manager out. And I think it is the sport directors that need to go, even though I think if the sport directors go, the manager will go too. This manager is never going to do what you suggested in terms of putting someone next to Caicedo.
Can I just say something?
Let Caicedo go. No, but just let me explain why he won't ever do that.
Okay,
he says he doesn't want overlap in fullbacks. And if you don't want overlap in fullbacks, that means you need to invert them into midfield. And then you have a choice. Either you make Caicedo the sitter and the fullback the goer, or you make the fullback the goer and Caicedo and the fullback the sitter and Caicedo you allow him to go. But then if you transition from in possession to out of possession and the fullback needs to go to fullback again, then Caicedo is high up and we leave a gap again. So until Maresca isn't willing to use wide fullbacks, while I agree with you, we should do that for Caicedo, it's not going to happen. So there's two solutions. Just pretend it's not a problem, or he gets better at it. I don't know another solution, if I'm honest.
You say that, but there were maybe 2 or 3 times in this game where both fullbacks are in the opposition box. And this is what I don't
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but as a principle,
I think it happens too often, because you're right. In big parts of the game, we have one of the left or right back next to Caicedo. But as our play progresses up the pitch, they just bomb forward both of them. And I think this is what makes me personally angry, because this also means that Enzo has to go out of his position to accommodate for Cucurella bombing down the left. Then you have Madueke, Neto, or Sancho, or Palmer, who also have to make space for Gusto in the box. And if the 2 backs are at the same time in the box, then we have literally all of the wingers outside of the box, and it's just Nkunku there waiting for a header to score, which is never going to happen. And this is what I think we saw this game. And even if Jackson is there, for me, this happens a bit way too often. And if this changes, I believe it will be better for us on the defensive side, because I really don't see the point in both left and right back in the opposition box.
Dimitar, does Santos coming in next season help with that, do you think? He's more likely to sit. He's cover for Lavia.
I think any type of defensive midfielder who can stay there will help. But here, I'm more saying the current tactical composition, because I think if you say to Cucurella, just stay in the middle, don't cross the halfway line, I think we will be better. And this doesn't mean that you have to have an overlapping right back. You can have Gusto doing some of this second 10 business where he arrives late in the box. Okay, fine. But I think we should just pin down one of the 2 wing backs to sit next to Caicedo and maybe allow him to go a bit further without having so many people in attack at the same time, because really, I think that's also one of the reasons that our wingers can't score, is because how are we expecting to get wingers in attacking positions if the left and right back are in the box? I mean, how is Neto gonna score if he sees Gusto just running next to him in the box? What is Neto supposed to do? And I've been critical of Neto in our group chat, but today also I saw the best times for Neto was when Gusto was giving him the ball at speed and Gusto was on the touchline. Every time where Gusto was in the box,
Neto's best moments were when we were attacking in transition and Brighton weren't in formation of their 5-3-2. Because Brighton, honestly, they press high and they pressed us high every time we had the ball in our box. But as soon as we crossed the halfway line, they were sat there with their 5-3-2 and they were not moving out of that shape. So,
I promise you, if you just watch Neto,
but you know this whole like everybody bombing forward too much and leaving Caicedo alone. Kind of sounds like some leftover hangover issues from Poch, if you ask me.
Oh, no, it's the same thing.
While Maresca is doing things wrong, I think that's the last thing Maresca actually wants. Too many players going forward is I don't think what Maresca wants our players to do. That's the whole his thing with, that's why he doesn't want us to play on the transition. But the next problem is, going back to what you said much earlier, Oli, where you're like, you almost think we're better at counter-attacking type thing. And our squad is more suited to it. I don't know if it's just because we've not done it this season or bad form, but at the moment we can't even do it. Like there was points earlier in the season, even when we were playing possession-based football, we still scored a lot of goals from those transition moments. Like for example, think of the Spurs game, right? So many goals that we scored like this, but now whenever we try to attack quickly, we fuck it up anyway. Like we had a couple of those today. Either Palmer can't hit the goal anymore, but not just can't hit the goal. Like he put the one 5 yards over, the other 10 yards wide. It was wild. It was crazy. But Oli, we get to our favorite conversation. We get to talk about now. We get to do Enzo first. Again, where I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know. Honestly, I could give Enzo an A today. Where I'm like, you were part of that attack that didn't really get the ball, and there's no runners. So what on earth is anybody expecting Enzo Fernandez to do here? But we can't just say, "Oh, sorry, it's not your fault." So I don't know what I made of Enzo Fernandez. Do you know what you made of him, Oli?
I mean, like you say, he was very high up a lot of the time. When he was tasked to defend, he got bullied completely. He, like Dimitar said, he was part of the reason that such large gaps were being left for Caicedo in the middle. He wasn't really doing anything on the ball. He wasn't really doing anything off the ball. I think a lot.
He had a better towards success rate than Caicedo did, actually. But
oh, fair enough then. But I think this was a really good game for those people who ask. Like when people ask, "What does Enzo Fernandez do?" I think this was a really good game for those people because I am really struggling to figure out something he did this game that I could point to and say there should be a good or a bad rating for that. And I think if that's the case, you've been pretty anonymous for most of the game, and so it can't be very high. 3, I would say, tops.
Yeah, fair enough. I'd probably go along with that, Dimitar, would you? Because I just don't know what I can even add.
I mean, yeah, basically this. I mean, we had this conversation on this stream probably 25 times last year as well.
Literally.
And the thing is, I think that when you get to the moment where you just don't know what to give certain players, then you see, okay, here maybe the manager is losing the plot. Because he really, right now, he's struggling to get anything out of these players. Literally anything.
I think the problem is Enzo Fernandez is supposedly trying to get back together with his wife. So
stop
doing that immediately.
Enzo, leave her. Leave her.
Leave her. Have you not noticed? We started losing again. Just leave her, please. For the love of God.
Yeah.
But yeah. God.
I mean, the 3, I think the thing is, he did one good pass for me in the first half, and he had some small moments, but he should be doing so much more in his 3rd season now, I believe. Yeah, it's his 3rd season, basically. He's been here for 3 years, I think. So he should be doing a bit more. Okay, 2nd full season, but 3rd season only.
2023. So pretty much exactly 2 years he's been here.
Yeah, it's still not good enough, though.
No, absolutely. By the way, shout out everybody that's joined from Lewis's stream. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that yet, because we're about to talk about our favorite conversation, which is Mr. Christopher Nkunku, who, honestly, the game felt like, did he even touch the ball?
Yeah,
now,
goes to Stamford
he had
Bridge.
42 touches and succeeded with 33 out of 36 passes. I don't know when any of these things happened. I didn't see them.
I saw he was more involved in the first half when
He was
funnily
in the
enough,
first 30 minutes, I believe.
yeah, in the
He
first
was.
30
He
minutes,
actually
he
was.
looked a lot more
Yeah.
involved. Like he was actually dropping a bit deeper. It looked like Palmer was playing ahead of him for the first like 5-10 minutes. And when he was doing that, he actually got a bit more of the ball. And then after maybe 15 minutes into the game, he just completely disappeared. Like, you know, Harry Houdini act. It was terrible.
The second Palmer started going to the halfway line to pick up the ball, and Nkunku disappeared. I think when Palmer was in front of him, he actually had again some moments, some bits, some pieces, but he should be doing way more, of course. But yeah,
His audition was
becoming-
not going very well. You know, like he's got the opportunity now to show us what he can do to prove why he should, you know, maybe be starting in the future over the likes of Nicholas Jackson, over any new striker we bring in if we can't ship him out. And it's not going very well.
It's not. It's not.
It's not going very well. I mean, he's. I can't even really explain it. It's so tough because these last few games, like I obviously we're very critical of the Spawn directors. We're critical of the Maresca to some extent. I've been critical of players like Nkunku a lot, very heavily. But a game like today, even the game last week against Brighton, it feels like almost the collective is so bad that it almost feels difficult to criticize the individual. Like in terms of when they make mistakes, like the defenders or the goalies, sure. But in terms of criticizing and saying this attacker was shit and this attacker was shit, it's almost a bit like, it's almost a bit unfair because I'm like, what am I expecting them to do? Like the opposition are sitting, like I said, with the lines of 5-4-2 or 5-3-2, sorry. They sit there. We have zero movement of anybody. What am I expecting of anyone? How am I expecting Palmer to like pass it to someone who's not running? How am I expecting Enzo to pass it to someone who's not running? When it's the guy that's mostly not running is usually Nkunku. So that
is a good point. And maybe Nkunku sort of epitomizes this. I don't know if you guys noticed this. And again, maybe you're talking about this in terms of the collective. Maybe it's just an example of Nkunku, but for everyone. There were several times, especially in the second half, where we had the ball. Brighton was sat in their sort of 5-3-2 shape, right? Their very rigid shape that they were doing very well to defend against us in, although we weren't creating that much. And there were several times where we had the ball, and the player that had the ball for us just stopped and stood still, and everyone on the pitch stopped and stood still. And I'm like, where is the urgency, man? Like, and Nkunku for me epitomizes that more than anybody. Like he's a player who plays with zero urgency whatsoever, and it drives me mental.
He is what everybody tried to tell me Joao Felix was, except Joao Felix was actually running around, and Nkunku is not. So yeah, I'm having a great time. Honestly, maybe the ghost emoji is a bit harsh because supposedly he had 42 touches, but that's what it felt like to me. I saw him once in a wide position, and then do a little drag back and pass it to Enzo Fernandez. And that was the only time I saw him be in an attacking area with the ball. Like, yeah, he dropped deep and got on the ball sometimes. But in terms of, I wish there was a stat. Can I see the stat? Touches in the final third. I would love to see how many.
I'm pretty sure he had some, but the thing is that, like you guys said, we had zero urgency. We had zero movement, zero running. And he's not the type of player to play against a low block every single week and be successful. He just not. And also, just on him, we are harsh on him.
Of the opposition, by the way, but
okay,
you can't say, "Oh, that's size."
No, it's not.
Because I don't think anybody had a lot of touches. So.
Yeah. We are harsh on him, and there's a reason for that. But we also must not forget that the club basically spent 2 weeks ransoming Bayern to take him somehow. I mean, they tried to ship him to Man United. They actively wanted to sell him. And now, all of a sudden, lo and behold, 6 weeks later, Jackson's injured and Nkunku's are only forward. I mean, if he's not motivated enough, yeah, sure, he should be because he gets paid. But still, I can kind of understand him in a sense if the club doesn't want him and he knows he's starting only because everyone else is injured. Even Guiu, Fofana, we brought him back for some reason. Jackson's injured, so there's no.
I think otherwise he wouldn't have come back. But
yeah, but there's no one else who can play. And if you know that you're playing only because of that, and that they're gonna try to ship you out again in the summer and possibly replace you with Felix if the Milan loan doesn't go well, I mean, where's the motivation?
Yeah,
I can kind of understand that.
Have some fucking pride in your work.
Oh no,
you know,
for sure.
Save your career because you've destroyed the last two. of your career. So try to save
And
it. But I
also,
agree with
guys,
you,
remember,
except
he was
why
bought by
didn't he
Potter.
try last week either?
Yeah.
He could have put an FA Cup on his CV.
Mhm.
In the league, it's fair. It doesn't make a difference to him if we qualify for the Champions League if he won't be here next season. That's fair. But in the Cup, he could have tried, and he didn't try there either. So I'm not giving him that excuse.
Also, we have to keep in mind we bought him when Potter was coach, and then he comes in, it's Poch, he gets injured, he starts playing again, and it's Maresca now. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's fair.
his career
I mean, that's
has
just
been very
football.
tragic.
Like
I mean,
that, that happens at most clubs nowadays. But yeah, no, you're still true. You're still right. Anybody have a disagreement with me giving Nkunku a ghost emoji? Is anybody
No,
adamant that
not
it
at
needs
all.
to get a specific rating? I don't think so. Right there you go. Let's get Noni out the way. Honestly, I thought in the period that Noni was on the pitch, he was by far our best player. Even though he had, after Colwill with that embarrassing foul call, the most embarrassing moment of the game as well. When he was, I don't know if it was Lamptey or one of the Brighton players, him and no, it was that midfielder. What's his name? I forget.
Minteh?
Baleba. So him and
Baleba.
Baleba were kind of going towards the ball from opposite directions, and not like a centimeter before did he pull out, not an inch before, not like a foot before. No, he's pulled out 2 yards before he even got to the ball. He just pulled straight out. Maybe he already started feeling his hammy. Maybe we can give him that benefit of the doubt. I don't know. But I know it was embarrassing. And the same thing, Sancho did it last week. Now it's Madueke. And these are the problems. These are the problems that we see. And this is why I'm so fucking angry every time Maresca spews this bollocks about we're not good enough. Only Champions League next season. When I'm like, you ruined these players' mentality. They don't fight. They don't feel like their life is on the line here. This is what Chelsea Football Club used to be. This is what the pressure of big clubs does. That players feel like our life is on the line here. If we don't perform, we're out. And if we don't perform, we are gone. And now it feels like it doesn't really matter what you do. You know,
because they know that the manager is going to be gone.
Is doping suspended. The other wingers we ship out on loan anyway. It's embarrassing, but still, I thought he was actually the most dangerous and best player until he came off. So yeah, really, really unfortunate that he got injured. I have my issues with Madueke, but after Jackson and Palmer, he is by far the most clinical. Is not the word, but the player with the most
story.
Well, yeah, but still, the winger with the most output, or the player, the attacker with the most output after Palmer and Jackson. And now with Jackson unavailable, Madueke was our only saving grace of getting goals, along with Palmer. And now him being out as well, honestly, we might as well just play with a 10-1 formation now and just hope to get a 0-0 every game. Because we're not going to score a goal.
I mean,
there's no joke.
If you make a comparison to last season, we lost 7 or 8 league goals from Mudryk. We lost 7 or 8 league goals from Sterling. We lost 7 or 8 league goals from Gallagher. We lost 10 to 15 goals from Jackson.
7 league goals?
I think he scored 6. He scored 6 or 7 league goals last year, or he scored something at least.
I could be wrong.
Maybe in all comps.
Okay, maybe in all comps. Okay, I mean, we lost a significant amount of goals, and when we keep losing goals, and this is bad.
Yeah, it's
really definitely bad.
It's really bad. Yeah, I'll give. I know I gave Caicedo a 4 myself, but in totally as a 3.5, I'll give Madueke a 4. Ollie, what did you make of Noni today until he got injured?
Yeah, he was all right. I think he was probably saved by the fact that he did get injured from having a worse rating.
Maybe.
Not really much to say. Was dangerous when he got into some good positions. Sort of same old Noni though. At the same time, you know, like you said, pulling out of challenges, throwing his hands up in the air, looking uninterested. So but at the same time, was the only one who was making anything happen. And until at least Tyreek George came on, I thought he did okay. But 4 I think is fair.
Fair enough. I just quickly want to say we'll get to Neto in a minute anyway. I think Madueke made Neto look even worse because Neto last week couldn't get past Lamptey once. Neto, once Madueke came off and Neto went over to the right, couldn't get past Lamptey once. I swear Noni went past him every time.
Noni got past him the first time he got the ball.
Yeah.
Literally. I don't know how many times he went past him. Maybe it was only 2 or 3 times. But Neto didn't once. Not last game, not this game. 2 games.
Like it was the first major thing I remember attacking-wise that happened in the game. Noni knocked it sort of long past Lamptey and just sped past him. And Neto just
And I was like, where is the Neto pace? That's the next thing that pisses me off. The only time we use an over-the-top ball is fucking Cucurella, who's never played a good long ball in his life. Why? I thought Coble is a great passer. Where's the Coble passes to Neto? Why does Cucurella have to play them every time and play them shit every time? I don't know, man. Dimitar, are you okay with the 4-4 for Madueke?
Yeah. And just I checked, Mudryk scored 5 Prem goals last year, so.
There you go. Fair enough. Honestly,
God,
I thought it was this.
him.
Dimitar, I'll stick with you. On Neto, I almost want to give him a ghost emoji as well, but he had the one open play chance we had ourselves that wasn't ruled out by the referee. To be fair, maybe we should have given that to Enzo. Shall we give Enzo a 0.5 because there's a case to be made he scored a goal?
No.
Fair enough. That was quick.
No one deserves it today.
I actually factored that goal into my rating, so
Fair enough.
With that 0.5 for the goal. For Neto,
he had the biggest other chance, bottled it. Took as long as I don't know, as if he had a car from the 1970s trying to hit the accelerator or something. I don't know what he was doing, but thoughts.
I mean, thing is, I think Neto did 1 or 2 things correct, and that was only when Gusto was deep on the right wing, so he looked a bit better as well. But a ghost emoji is probably closer to the truth than any other rating because he's just not impacting games. I mean, like you said, he has pace. He doesn't go past players. He doesn't dribble. He sometimes finds good positions, and his shots get blocked in some of the games. But he doesn't shoot. He doesn't go past players. What does he do? Especially in a Maresca system, because we thought maybe that Maresca actually wanted him in some capacity. But what does he do in a Maresca system? And this is what I don't get. I mean, for Sancho, I can kind of get what he's supposed to do. He doesn't do it, but I can kind of get what he's supposed to do. But for Neto, sometimes I just don't know what his job is. So a ghost emoji from me probably here.
Fair enough. Honestly, why not? Why not?
Yeah,
because
honestly, I would say the same. I couldn't tell you anything really that he did in the game that impressed me.
Same. I mean, 60 million. Like, people have a go at Sancho, and I'm like, yeah, okay. But Sancho still cost less than half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and also, Neto is
more than half of the output Neto is. That's all I'm saying.
Neto has 4 or 5 seasons in the Prem of experience. So, I mean, Sancho is also not a kid anymore, but he has not played for 5 years in the Prem. That's for sure.
No. But he did play at a higher level, though.
Oh, yeah, of course. But still, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, we get to Sancho. Obviously, played a significant chunk as well. He was shocking. He didn't defend properly. He looked slow. He looked not bothered. He looked... Oh, my God. They were so bad today. Like a ghost emoji would be doing him a kindness. He almost doesn't deserve a ghost emoji. That's how bad it was.
Do a fat emoji. Unathletic.
Is there a PlayStation emoji?
Yeah.
Is there a PlayStation emoji?
Honestly, he'd rather play Warzone on his PlayStation and FIFA and open up packs than he would go to training. By the look of him, honestly, my God,
I don't know if we're not just being super mean and like almost playing on the English media stereotypes, which I'm like, I kind of don't want to do, but I also kind of agree.
He's lazy as fuck, bro. That is like, unfortunately,
he's not helping himself. He's not helping himself. I mean, if this move to Chelsea generally flops, let's say in 2 years' time, if it's considered a flop, what does he do? I mean, he has to save his career right now, because maybe, let's say, Enzo and Nkunku, they can still save their careers even if they fail at Chelsea. But what does Sancho do if he fails at Chelsea? Who takes him?
He opens up more FIFA packs. That's what.
No, but I'm serious. He has to fight for his career. I don't think I'm exaggerating. Really.
Yeah. See more fighting in Mortal Kombat on his PlayStation. So.
And Nkunku can always go to PSG. Enzo can always find a way to go to Barca, for example. Where does Sancho go if he flops?
Nowhere. Nowhere. Well, I don't know, West Brom or something. Yeah, Cole Palmer, don't have any excuses for him today. Incredibly quiet, completely invisible, but had 2 moments where, again, they weren't huge chances. Don't like make
hit
me
the fucking target, lad.
But yeah,
honestly,
exactly. Like so far wide, so far over. The first
thing on Palmer is
wide was even in the box, and he still dragged it 5 yards wide.
Yeah.
Like it's terrible.
The thing
and
is,
then also Enzo Fernandez behind him in a much better shooting position, which he also ignored. So, I mean, honestly, his stats don't look that bad.
He
He
looked
had
like
that
one of the
one
only
ball-
players, at least at the start of the game, who was trying to do something.
he tried for sure.
But I think the thing is the second goal went in, I could see exactly the look on his face and his body language. He's just bored of this. He's just like he's bored of
like,
having
can't
to
be
be
bothered.
relied on all the time, and so he just like I
Bring me
wouldn't
some
blame him
chicken
for just
chips.
fucking giving up.
Yeah.
But guys, I mean, Lost kind of mentioned it in the beginning that he had that chance, but I think in October or November he scores that chance in the 20th minute, and then the game goes to a completely different direction. And that's the thing. I think we were way too reliant on him just doing worldies. I mean, if you go now and look at highlight with his goals from this season, half of them were actually insane. I mean, he scored four against Brighton. He had that game where he had 3 or 4 assists to Noni against Wolves, and these were special moments for him. And the second he stopped doing that, our entire attack just fell apart because it's very easy. It's very easy to score.
A real problem. Sorry that I interrupted again.
No problem.
We don't get penalties anymore. Like, how many of Palmer's goals last season were penalties? How many of those got him into a game? Got him.
Oh yeah.
Even against Brighton in that reverse game at the Bridge when he scored 4, one of them was a penalty. We don't get penalties anymore. So that's a serious issue as well. It almost feels like Potter times where we can't buy a penalty. At least on the Poch, we got penalty after penalty because we attack the box fast with pace.
Yeah,
if you're only
we're just running in the box,
you don't get nothing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's because we don't have the wingers going in the box.
Exactly. And we have like all 3 of the wingers that we have. They are the types of wingers that would get you a penalty. If I'm honest, like, they're those types of players, but they're either way too wide, so if they get fouled, they don't get a penalty, or the whole thing is so static and there's so many oppositions that the opposition doesn't need to lunge because there's one behind them and another one behind them because
they absolutely don't need to make fouls because our wingers just recycle the ball outside of the box, and that's it.
Exactly that. What rating would you give Palmer, Ollie?
2. Really disappointed in him today.
Fair enough. Dimitar, would you go along with that?
I would say a 3. I think until the second goal, he was actually trying. After that goal went in, it was all over. But by that criteria, I don't think anyone else tried as well. So I would not punish him a lot for that. So I would say a 3, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Just to quickly finish it off in terms of the subs, we made 4 subs in total. Obviously, that Jadon Sancho for Madueke after 21 minutes, and then a triple sub after 65. Reece coming on for the injured Gusto, even though Gusto kept playing, which again, why? I guess with Reece, they wanted to make sure he's properly warmed up, I suppose, rather than rushing him on, which is fair enough.
What was the Gusto injury? Was it the hamstring or what?
It honestly looked like he hurt his hip. It looked like he held his hip, so I don't really know, but certainly looked in pain. Could be hamstring, could be hip flexor, maybe. Could be one of those. But anyways, so Reece came on for Gusto. Dewsbury Hall came on for Caicedo, which is the most mental subs I've ever seen. And what was the last one? Let me see.
Derek George.
Derek George for Neto. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I mean, George, you know what? I'll give George a thumbs up.
Yeah, because he was actually trying to do something. Like every time he got the ball, at least he tried. He played like an academy player, like he was trying to take his chances.
Yeah, exactly. So sorry, what did you say at the beginning? I didn't hear what you said. Did you say something instead of a thumbs up?
No. I said exactly because also last week he also came in that game and he used this. I think today he was a bit better than last week as well, which is a very small positive. He looked more on it, at least, George. So he was more motivated for sure than Dewsbury Hall, for example, who did absolutely nothing. And there was this embarrassing moment where he got a pass and he did a step over and the ball just went behind him into no one. That was insane because not like we were gonna score a goal anyway, but he got the ball and he was facing the opposition goal. He should have at least tried to take it and do something. Instead, he just let it pass through his feet into no one. Like, why?
Why? That is the big question. That is the big.
It's called a dummy for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I guess it is. No one saw it coming, not even him.
Oh yeah. It definitely confused everyone.
Hit the pen. How would the goalie know? So I guess it's one of those. There you go, boys. We finish it off with Enzo Maresca. What do you make of a game like today? Because I said it earlier. I don't really like. I'm not going to moan too much about the lineup. You could have started Sancho instead of one of the others. Wouldn't have made a difference. You could have started Tosin instead of Chalobah. You could have started, I don't know, Reece instead of Gusto. Was Reece ready to start? We don't know. You could have started Achampong. Would that have made a difference in the result? I don't think so whatsoever. The tactics, he did change things. He did try something differently compared to last week, which I guess is better than not, but it didn't fucking work. So, okay, you tried something different, but it also didn't work. So now all I really know is you had 2 plans against Brighton and both failed. So I'm not sure if that is any better or worse. But yeah, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed at all. And I mean, at least the post-match comments today, like I said earlier, already didn't make me flip my shit again. But even before the game, he doubled down on why he keeps saying that the owner said that the expectation is only Champions League in 2 years. But, bro, you were second at Christmas. You could have gone top had we beaten Everton.
Oh, yeah.
You can't be telling me top 4 isn't the expectation if you were top 4 by half of the halfway stage of the season. Like,
have some backbone, mate.
The halfway stage. You know what I mean? Say that again, Ollie.
I was saying, have some fucking backbone,
Yeah, literally. I mean, the clips were going round recently, weren't they, of Tuchel when he was first appointed and talking about, like, well, I'm here to win games. I'm here to win trophies. I'm here to win games. So inadvertently, in the end, winning trophies because we win games. And sure, the squad was also in a slightly different position. We had people like, we had Kante. We had, Jorginho, who was about to be best player in Europe. We had Kovacic, who was a, highly decorated player, at least. We had Thiago Silva. We had, a few serious players. We don't now. Not as many anyway, but still, the mentality from him is embarrassing at the moment. Absolutely.
But what do you expect? Like, do you expect him to have a title-winning mentality? Why would you?
No, but that's the
Serie
thing.
B and Championship. Like,
title winning. I'm expecting top 4 getting. I'm not even asking.
No, but
for
the thing is,
bro.
only if you ask Nuno Espirito Santo right now, he will not say, "Oh, the target is top 4," but he say, "We're gonna fight for a top 4."
Yeah,
and this is what Maresca should have said. We may not get it, but we will fight for it. If he had said that, everyone would have been applauding him. People would have been singing his name.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's
fine if owners have no standards. If the sporting director have no standards, fine. But you can. You can. You were a footballer yourself. You played at a decent level. You played for Juve. You won titles. You played for Sevilla. You played for big clubs. Like, you were assistant of Pep Guardiola, the man at the highest standards ever. And you're sat there, like, again, I know it comes from above. I'm aware of that. But that doesn't need, and I know he needs to say certain things that appeases the people above. I know that too. But that doesn't mean that he needs to say every negative thing they tell him. Like, it just makes me look worse to the media. He undermines his own, like, even if he claims he tells the players every day that we should be aiming for higher, you still nullify that if you tell the media the opposite. I don't know why people don't understand the difference. It's not 2004 when Jose Mourinho press conferences were covered on TV and in the newspaper, nowhere else. Then it's a different ball game. The manager saying something different in the dressing room compared to what is said in the media. This is a different conversation nowadays. The second Maresca says something, Pys tweets it, it gets retweeted by 7 million people, and half of the squad will see it. This is not the same anymore. It's not like 2004. You can't just say, well, he says something different in the media. No, that's not how it works, man. Man.
But also, does anyone actually believe that that goal was not top 4? I mean, does anyone actually believe that? So it's not only he's saying stupid things, he's saying what I think is just not the truth. So he can say 25 other things which will also be lies, but they will be better. I mean,
he lied about Fofana as well. He said he's out for the season. I suppose he's back in 2 weeks now. So I don't know how.
You just don't know what to believe, and that's part of the problem at the moment. Is it feels like those from above and Maresca to a certain degree, but mainly those from above because they're probably informing him on what to say, are treating the fans like they're stupid, and that's really bothering me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just bad PR.
Yeah, it's hard when they're just constantly lying to you. You know, like it's hard when you're constantly being treated like you're an idiot as a fan, and because you lose respect and any reverence for anything that comes out of their mouth now, and you can see it every time anything comes out now in the from the club or from a journalist or from Maresca himself. Everyone just all in the comments underneath on Twitter. You know, just PR brief, PR. This is brief. You know. And what do you expect? You know, it's the boy who cried wolf. When you tell a fuck ton of lies, people are going to assume you're lying.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, I don't know if he's lying about this or not, because my pure instinctual logic would be he can't be, because he's making himself look worse by doing it. So what an idiotic thing to lie about that would be. You know, lie to make yourself look better, at least, not make yourself look worse. I mean, that's the stupidest thing I've ever had.
That's the lack of experience.
I'm not saying you're wrong, Dimitar. I'm just saying my instinct would tell me it can't be, but maybe. You know?
I mean, that's the lack of experience, because he's never been in this position before. He doesn't know what to say. I mean, let's say that this is the truth. The board told him that.
Is enough, no? Like, we know as fans, so surely he should.
I mean, the thing is, does he spend every day on Twitter? Probably not. Does he spend every day reading every opinion? Probably not. Did he spend the last 10 years of his life listening to every single thing that top coaches say? Probably not. And I mean, and this takes time to get used to. I mean, if you're not in the media spotlight, it takes time. And now he is in the spotlight. Even when he was Guardiola's assistant, he was not in the spotlight. He was there. People knew he was there. But now everything you say really is under a lens. I mean, you said it. Pys can retweet what he said, and Fabrizio Romano retweets what he said. Then we see it. We commented. Some people in Australia commented. Some people in Africa. Some people in Asia. All over the world, people comment on what he said. And this is stressful for sure. So I'm sure he just doesn't know what to say. And sometimes in the moment you can let something slip. It happens, but he really looks like he just.
I agree, but he's doubled down on this.
2
or 3 or 4 times.
Because that's the stubborn Italian.
Something once, I can let it go, because, like you say, you can be almost forced into an answer by a journalist. Sometimes a dodgy question, you're maybe already a bit annoyed. This and that. You're very fair point. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, when you say the same thing 3 or 4 times. It's just strange. I'm
not excusing him, but I just think he's a stubborn Italian man. You cannot expect anything else from doubling down. But the thing is, he needs experience, and sadly, he's getting that experience with Chelsea. And I'm pretty sure at his next job, whenever, wherever, he will do better, at least in the media sense, because right now he's learning a lot of lessons, sadly, on our back.
That's a really good way to put it, Mil.
I mean,
he's learning a lot of lessons.
But hopefully he is at least learning them, because sometimes he's making me feel he's not even learning, you know, like...
I mean, I'm pretty sure the day he leaves Chelsea, even if it's with success or not, he's going to take 2 weeks of vacation and everything is going to be just rolling in his head. Every single thing he did in his head. And I'm pretty sure he's going to, because I think he's a smart man. I think he's a smart man, and I think he's,
What rating would you give Maresca for today?
I'm going to give it 2. And that's maybe generous.
Maybe. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's one of those where the manager is a bit... Part of it is obviously not his fault. The fact that he didn't get any replacements, the fact that everybody that we need is injured currently. Yeah.
I don't know what I expected to be different, but I know that I don't expect anything to be different in our next game.
No.
And that's part of the problem. So I think 2.5, maybe 3.
Yeah. Let's give him a 2.5. Why not? Share the 2.5 with Parma, I suppose. I don't even know what our next game even is. So let me look at that.
Aston Villa, I believe.
I can't wait. Brilliant. Amazing.
Great. Another good manager. Brilliant. It's going to absolutely clown us.
Brilliant. I can't wait. I just want to show one last thing on screen before we leave this here. I touched on it earlier already, but it was Gary Neville saying the pressure should be on the people who are recruiting the players to leave out of £1 billion. I don't even know how that made sense, but anyway, to leave positions like centre forwards and goalkeeper is unforgivable. The pressure should not be on the coach at all. Now, I don't fully agree with at all because, again, we are Chelsea Football Club. We have the worst away record in the Premier League now. Not a single other team has. It's been so long since they last won a Premier League game away. Not like in terms of the full table, but we are the team that hasn't won an away game for the longest period, which is since some point in December. We've now got 9 points from the last 9 games, I think, which is 9 of 27, if I'm not mistaken. Because the commentator said it was 9 from 8, I think. 9 from 8. So must be 9 from 9 now, I guess. Because we lost. So, but I'm still glad that this is someone in the media is taking this narrative. I'm glad that this is happening, but I'm not sure if it will help.
It's the shit silver lining on the cloud. That at least if anyone's going to be bringing it up, at least it's basically the biggest pundit in the sport is going to bring it up, because this will make at least some of the pressure. You would think something like this will at least cause 1 or 2 journalists to start asking the question.
Oh, for sure.
So that's the pressure will start to build.
The manager, the person who doesn't make decisions, it's a stupid idea of how the sport works, isn't it? We should make the people hold press conferences who make the decisions.
Well, actually, we saw that, didn't we? Because there was a post-match interview. It was before West Ham sacked Lopetegui. They did a post-match interview with their sporting director, which was really weird. Yeah,
should be doing that every game.
I would love it. Honestly, the headlocks online would be a generational, man. But yeah, I'm glad that if nothing else, Neville is highlighting the incompetence of the people above Maresca. Even if he's not got it exactly right on, it's the right idea.
Exactly. But I think, ladies and gentlemen, it's been long enough. I'm glad to have gone through a stream with the boys again. Sometimes
it was a support group. It was a support group stream.
Good therapy.
Yeah, it was. It's more like I don't feel any better than before, but I care less now.
No, I definitely feel a bit better.
I think we had a laugh. We talked about some things. It's a bit better for
them. That's how men work. Just talk about some random things.
It's easy.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here, I appreciate you all very much. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that yet. Hit the like button on your way out. That would massively appreciate it. Of course, check out Ollie and Dimitar on their Twitters. Check out Ollie's podcast at The Bridge Pod, which is linked down in the description, and you can see the ad on screen. Check them out. Of course, check out mine and Pyce's podcast, Chelsea Unfiltered. New episode will be out this time, actually. Well, midnight on Monday, so essentially Sunday night, because I'm going away and the game happened on Friday, so we decided to release early. So make sure you check that out. Check out the last episode. Link is down in the description. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and I will see you next time.